All right. What's going on, everybody? How you all doing? Jay here again on another Thursday night. It's Thursday, September 7th. How you all doing? We're here for another Thursday night hang here in the Coffee and Cigars live stream. So thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you being here. We've got another interesting show for you, at least. So how you all doing? As you can see, we have a little bit of a different setup here today in a different part of the complex. It's still in the cafe, but just a little bit of a different angle. I haven't done this angle in quite a long time, and I just thought about it today. I was like, you know what? Why don't we do this angle again? It's been a bit of time. So how you all doing? So what's been happening? Anything good? Where you all smoking? And let me know down in the comments here where you're, what you're smoking and where you are and what you're drinking along with that. So in today's show, we're going to be having a taste of the Caldwell Instant Classic, which I believe is a 2018 release, and it's just coming out now. And then we're going to also, before that, we're going to be making some coffee, as always, using the new AeroPress XL and making a little bit of cold brew with that. And so the AeroPress has been a really interesting journey. This is the XL here. And as you can see, find your inner brew. It has been a really interesting journey to get this here into my hands. I actually placed an order with AeroPress on the 18th of July. And really, so this came out, this was announced in April, and then it had an MSRP of $79.95, so $80. And then it came out that AeroPress decided that, okay, we're going to throw in a carafe and drop the MSRP to $69.95. So dropped it by $10 and added a carafe that you would normally have to purchase separately. All right, so cool deal. I looked online. You know me, I like to buy stuff locally. I don't really like to buy too much online. And even though I have a corporate account with AeroPress, you have to buy it by the case. And I only wanted one to play around with. So I just thought, I'll just go through the regular retail channels and buy one. And so I looked up at REI because, you know, you get the discount, or you actually get the rebate or the dividend at the end of the year the more you buy from REI. So I thought, okay, let me buy this from REI. I looked up online and they said they had it in stock at the local branch, $79.95. And I was like, oh man, I don't really want to have to battle with them or ask them to like lower the price. And maybe the ones they have don't have the carafe included. So I was like, let me just go online and order it then. It's $69.95 directly from AeroPress. I placed the order, and through a lot of different issues with shipping and multiple times of shipping this and having troubles with, I don't know, the first carrier just, I don't think even bothered to deliver. And evidently when I talked to Charlene at their customer service, she's like, we've actually had this problem with them a number of times. And then USPS had more problems with them. So I didn't get this until 2 days ago. I was like, oh my gosh, man. But finally, you know, the guys at AeroPress, I got to say, they were very helpful. They were like, they did everything they could at the time that they could. So, you know, so basically they got it shipped out, but I don't know what happened. But here it is. So let me give you a peek of it. This is a double-sized AeroPress. Let me just show you here. So let's open it up. And as you can see, it comes packed in with a big filter holder, a bunch of filters. I think there's maybe 100 filters in here. And this is one of the things that a little bit disappointing. Like when you buy the actual AeroPress, the original one, they give you 300 filters. I don't know why they went a little bit cheap on this. It would have been nice. I guess you get the craft, so I shouldn't complain, right? So I shouldn't complain. All right, so there's inside here, there's a stirrer, big stirrer. There's also a scoop for measuring your coffee. And then the AeroPress itself, this is the big monstrosity. Ooh, look at that big thing. It's big, it's big, it's big, it's crazy. Oh, what's up, Brian? How you doing? Good to have you with us. And then at the bottom, there is the carafe that comes wrapped nicely. Okay, so let's get that out of there. It also has a little bit of a red. It's kind of nice for packing. Static cling means it doesn't want to come out. There we go. Put that aside. So here's the carafe. It's nice. I mean, I dig it. Like you can brew, it actually comes inside out. We have to take that apart and then turn it around. Whew. There we go. And it's big. Look at that thing. It's like, it's very big. Anyway, so you're going to take this and then it goes on top of there and then you can press it down. And there's the carafe. Now, here's the thing. So I have used this. I used this in yesterday's or this morning's live stream I do a live stream pretty regularly now called Coffee Q&A, about around 10 o'clock on weekdays. And I don't know if this is actually what AeroPress says, but I saw somebody else's post that said this is supposed to be a 20-ounce container. When I measured it by water weight, it was only 16 ounces. So I don't know what that's all about. I don't know if that's true or not. But anyway, so like typical with AeroPress brewing, we've got our AeroPress. And of course, AeroPress wants you to brew it in their standard way, which means that you're going to take the bottom half and you're going to put the filter and the cap on it, add hot water to it, and then add the top and press it down. Well, that's just not how we work. That's just not a recipe, so we're not going to do that. We're going to do our typical inverted, which means we're going to take our AeroPress. We're going to connect. These are nice and tight. This rubber syringe thing. It's like a syringe. It's really nice and tight. And so we're going to take that. We're going to put it together, and we're going to do the inversion method. And so here's the thing. So it's a double, at least double in size. So it says 8 ounces. And that's about double in size. And so I don't really know. Honestly, I don't really know what to do with this. Like, am I supposed to just make double batches of everything? Because I don't know if I like that. I don't know. Like that means we put, for our normal batch of AeroPress, we put 36 grams of coffee and then make a concentrated brew that we would dilute to actual strength. This one, I could put 72 grams in here of coffee and just make a bigger batch. And I think that this comes from, a lot of AeroPress fans that are like, oh, we want a bigger AeroPress. We want a bigger, so we can make more AeroPress for more people. And I get that. That's cool. But now that I've seen it, I'm a little bit like flabbergasted in that I don't really know if I would want to do that. Like if I need to make a lot of coffee, I'm just going to brew it in like a Chemex or some kind of larger batch brewing thing. I don't know if I would sit there and make multiples of these or just one of these. Like this seems a bit overly phallic. But, all right, so let's just get to it. So we're going to take this. We're just going to make a regular amount of coffee in this thing today. So I've already prepared 36 grams of coffee that's finely ground, right? I put a really fine grind on it. We're just going to add that here into the AeroPress, right? As you can see, there it is. We also will need to prepare our filter. So we'll take one of these filters and put that at the bottom of the filter holder. Now this is loose, right? So we need to tighten that up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wet it. Now I don't normally wet filters. However, what I like to do for this, I do like to wet it. I'm going to use a little bit of an ice cube here just to give us some wetness. And all that is really just to make sure that the filter sticks to the filter, this filter mechanism lock. We just want it to stick there so it doesn't release. It just keeps it together and makes it easier for brewing purposes. All right, so we're going to time it out. We're just going to run the timer. Can you see this? Oh. Maybe you'll be able to see that. I don't know. But now we're going to take our water and we're just going to pour it in. And I'm going to fill it up to like the 4 number here, right? Or somewhere around there. We're not going to be too worried about it. We're going to do that, and then we're going to stir for 45 seconds. All right, here we go. I'm going to do a pretty forceful pour, vigorous pour. I can put more of it in there. Why not? And take our stir. We're going to stir for the first 45 seconds. Where are you? And I'm stirring relatively aggressively. And the water, is still pretty hot. 37, 38, 39. This is basically the recipe used at Spro. This is also the basic recipe that I used to win the United States AeroPress Championship. All right, so that's good. Now we will put the top on. Make sure you lock it on nice and tight. And what I like to do is I like to take the vessel, whatever we're using, place it on top because it will start to leak a little bit once you turn it over. So let's turn it over like that. Oh, see, there's a little bit that came out. And as you can see, it's already starting to come out. So we're just going to take it and press. There's nothing to see there. Now, what if you can hiss, but there will be a hissing sound. Right there. And what that hissing sound means that you have pressed out all of the air. You've pressed out all of it. So just tilt it over so that you get all the drippings. And then hold it over, and then it should be all right to set aside. We'll set that aside. We won't worry about cleaning that in our adventure here today. And now we've got our coffee. There it is. Our coffee is nicely brewed. Ooh, 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 there it is. And yeah, nice. This is the Perla Negra from Spro Coffee, from my coffee, the coffee we use normally for cold brewing. So we're going to cold brew this. I've got some ice here. I've got a glass, and I've got some ice. And we're going to fill this up with some ice. Now, this brewing that we do with the AeroPress is actually a concentrated brew. However, because we're going to use, it's still hot, and we're going to pour it over ice, we're going to let the ice be the dilution of water that we would normally use to create brew strength or drinkable strength coffee. So let's pour that on there. Let me give you an upper view. Sexy view. All right, there we go. And so this is one way to make cold brew coffee, iced coffee. Actually, this is more iced coffee than cold brew because we're making the coffee hot and then chilling it down over ice. And let's see how much. I don't know if we don't have that much melting, which is good. A lot of ice. Ooh, so it turns out the Perla Negra when you brew it as a cold brew, it really develops these milky sweet characters. This one's a little more bolder, right? It gets a little bit more bold when you're brewing it hot. Round body, nice kind of fuerte kind of like feeling, right? It's not a light coffee. It's a good fuerte kind of coffee like this. Ooh, it's fuerte, very good. If you wanted to put cream and sugar, this would hold up to it. It's very nice and robust. I could use a little more dilution. All right, not bad, not bad, not bad. All right, so what's been happening? Anything interesting? What's been going on? Today was kind of interesting. Like yesterday, we had 100-degree weather. Today, we had like 90-plus degree weather. So it was like almost as hot as yesterday, but not quite. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go do a little skeet shooting. So I went out to the range and shot around a wobble, but it was hot. It was hot. It was miserably hot. I basically shot one round and I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm done now. But luckily I got it right before the rain started to come, because right after I finished that round, it got cloudy. And I was like, oh, is it going to rain? I was like, maybe I should shoot another box. I was like, oh, no, that's enough. Just one for the day. And then I was like, okay, get back in the car, head back. And then it starts to rain. I was like, oh man. Happily, once after it rained, like those of you who are in Baltimore know this, but now that the rain's all gone, it's a bit cool. So I decided to move the situation here to this location because I can open the door and let a little more airflow come through because it's cool. I was really kind of concerned all throughout the day because I was like, oh man, it's going to be miserable and miserably, blisteringly hot, and I will not be happy. But boom, all right, I'm pretty happy right now. So not too bad. But yeah, I was asking some of the guys, like, been trying to do some reading. I was like, when you shoot shotgun shells, it gets a little bit expensive, right? You're constantly buying shotgun shells and you're constantly shooting them. So you're like, unlike in situations like most home defense, like if you're a home defense guy or, I don't know, a CCW guy or one of these, tummy patriots that wants to wear Kevlar and walk around the city, like you're going to buy ammo. But there's reality is you're really never going to use it, right? So you can buy and buy and buy and buy, and you can just hoard and hoard and hoard, and you never worry about, like, you buy a case and you never worry about it. It's like, okay, well, maybe if there's a war or there's some kind of, maybe I want to be the hero and go out and shoot people, maybe then you might use it. But really, you're not going to do any of that. Like, you're just going to sit on it for years. However, when you're shooting sporting clays, you're always shooting. So it's like, oh man, like, should I start to reload? But when you look at the cost of reloading, like per 25 rounds versus the cost of buying the 25 rounds, it's really a matter of $2. Is that worth your time? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't think it is. There's so much to do in the day. Do you have time to sit there and I don't think so. So that's just been on my mind lately. Just thinking about, should I be reloading? But then, yeah, it's not. I don't know if the return is there. And when I talk to experts about it, they're like, oh yeah, unless you're shooting like 410 or 20 gauge or no, 28 gauge, then it's not worth it. And I was like, all right, then I'll follow along with that because gosh knows you could be reckless with things. But today I was supposed to almost went to New York this last 2 days. And which meant that I would have done this show actually from New York. However, I decided not to go. So B&H Photo, if you're familiar with B&H Photo, they're this big photo company down in DC and up in New York at 35th Street and 8th Avenue. I've always bought from them for many generations of time, right? This is their 50th anniversary. I had no idea this was their 50th anniversary. I was like, whoa, 50th anniversary. So they had this thing called the Build Conference, BILD, which is it's kind of like their own little National Association of Broadcasters show. And it's like, oh, that'd be kind of awesome. Free admission. So I was going to go listen to some speakers, check out some new gear. But then, honestly, it's just like, I just don't feel like going anywhere. It's like, I just want to stay home. So almost went, but I decided to stay home and found a good deal. They had some deals on it. Found this battery that we normally buy. It's like massively off. I was like, whoa, I need to get that battery. So I just bought that. And that's been my last couple days. But all right, so let's get to our cigar of the week. So this week's cigar let's get into it, is from Caldwell Cigars. And here's our humidor for the show. Let's look at our Boveda. Look at this Boveda. It's 2 years now. It's still pliable. Like last week or the week before, there's still some it's getting hard in the corners. But we're talking about 2 years. That's just ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. It's incredible. Incredible. Thank you, Rusty. As always, okay, here it is. This is the instant classic. Okay, let's get that. Put these back. So this is the Instant Classic by Caldwell. And the interesting thing about these cigars is that this is part of their law. Well, this, let me zoom in some. Can I zoom in some more? Oh, that's maximum zoom. All right. It's a very different setup than we normally have at the other location. So this is the Instant Classic. It is a Caldwell cigar, and it is, let me see if I can find the details. So Caldwell for many years had this thing called the Lost and Found. And what those cigars were Caldwell would go to these different factories and be like, hey, let's dig through your escaparate and find cigars that you've forgotten about, and let me buy them and sell them. And that's what he's been doing. However, about around 2018, he decided, oh, let me go change my model, and I'm going to now have cigars manufactured for this program, and I'm going to put them away for like 4 years. This is, I believe, the first one of that. It's called the Instant Classic 2018. You can see here it says, you can't see that, but it says 2018 right there on the side of the band. And this cigar was evidently made in 2018. It's supposed to be a box press, but it maybe has a very light box pressing. It doesn't feel very box pressy. But it's supposed to have it's a 6x52. It doesn't really feel like a 6x52. It says it's 6x52. So it's from the Dominican Republic, from the Tabacalera William Ventura. Let me pull this up here. Tabacalera William Ventura, Habano Hybrid Undisclosed Wrapper, Ecuadorian Binder, Dominican Republic Criollo and San Vicente Fillers. 6x52 Toro. This is not a 6x52 Toro. This looks more like a Corona. Look at this thing. This is Corona, right? That's Corona. This must be a different one. Anyway, let's we're not going to worry about those things, right? We're just going to go on and enjoy the cigar and enjoy the smoke. Let's have a look at it. It looks very nice. It's very nice looking. Nice wrapper. Smooth. Feels a bit silky. Silky, that's the word that I have to think about when I think of like a term. It's a silkiness on on your fingers, right? And it's clean looking. Like, look at this thing. It looks very, oops. It's a nice looking cigar. Look at the wrapper. Looks really nice. I mean, that's quite pretty. That's quite pretty. Let me get the score sheet out and ready. Let me make some notes here before we're going to let's do that right there. Okay, that's our markers. Let's look here. We're still going to say it's right about there in color. Nice. I have something on my fingers from earlier. I can smell it. The aroma, the fragrance off of the wrapper is relatively light. With some sweetness, some tobacco, but it's not terribly strong. It's not terribly forward. Like, you know, some cigars, we have very forward flavors or forward aromatics or fragrances. It's not really like that. It's very kind of mild, mildly sweet, I would say. All right, let's do our cutting with the Zycar MTX cutter. Multi-tool by Zycar cutter. Oh, nice little cut there. I think that cut turned out well. Look at that. Huh? Yeah, that's not bad. Not bad at all. Draw is very easy. Very smooth and very easy. Am I getting much on the cold draw, though? George Shen was with us. Good to see you, George. Robert Caldwell's a good 6'4" in height. Whoa, I didn't realize he was that. I should have known that. I've seen him in person. I've actually met him through some other friends. Like, I don't know him that well. But my friends Marvin are good friends with him. He is an aficionado of European licorice, eats it often when he smokes. Oh, that's an interesting thing. I've heard about this European licorice. I have not tried it. I will have to look it up when I go back to Europe. Hopefully I can remember that. There's a little bit of sweetness, but it's relatively mild, I think, the cold draw. Kind of more of a medium in fragrance, medium. I'm going to say it's very good. 8. Okay, let's get to our lighting. We got our Capital Cigars. Did any of you guys happen to make it down to Capital on Saturday when George was doing his barbecue? I was not able to go there. Ooh, this thing's out of control. All right, initial impression, just from that light. Of course, there's always going to be a little bit of light harshness at the very inception because we are pulling it in, but there's a pleasant flavor underneath that. Maybe a light spiciness, a little musk. Musk as in like Old Spice, not Elon. Smooth, actually very pleasant flavor, like really nice flavor. I'm not really sure exactly how I would describe this flavor yet, but very, very nice, very pleasant, very tasty. Ooh. I'm not sure what else is supposed to happen in this cigar. So here, these guys, they're saying it starts off with a woody and peppery taste that has them thinking, oh, get rid of this, of a Habano-driven profile with the body intensity varying a bit. I mean, definitely I get that. That's woody, peppery. I mean, peppery, yeah, that kind of like, spiciness. Habano tobacco-ish. I mean, I can see maybe that's that nice light sweetness that we're having, that's really pleasant. This one's starting out really, really well. Really lovely. Like sweetness, nice complexity. Like this is another example of a cigar that has a dialogue of complexity, meaning that it's not quite the melange of flavors that we've had before, but there's definitely a good dialogue between the flavors so that they are very much in groove and harmonious with each other. And this is probably, I would imagine this is due to the 4 years of aging that this cigar has had. I believe that the 4 years of aging, the 4 years of aging is after they rolled it, so it's really had that time to meld and really get together with each other. All right, starting off nice. Starting off nice. So I don't know about you, but I've been doing these live streams lately on weekdays. I've done it now for like 3 weeks, it seems like. And for on most weekdays. Now, there's usually been something on most weeks that there's one day that we miss. I think this week we didn't miss any days. But anyway, so I have this series of live streams on this channel that I started a while back called Coffee Q&A, and it's a daytime morning thing just to like answer people's questions about coffee. And we get the fits and starts, and we do it every once in a while and stop for a while, and then maybe start again and then stop for a while. But this time I thought, I don't really have much to do. Like, I don't have any trip plans. So I was like, let me start doing this, and let's just see how it goes. And so, the plan is to do these live streams every morning around weekday mornings, around 10 a.m. Answer people's questions, talk about coffee, show different brewing techniques, and then, when I have to go somewhere and do other things, then we'll just suspend that and come back to it after. So far, there's a small community building there, and it's really been a lot of fun. I know most of the guys on this channel or on this show are watching, because everybody's at work. So 10 a.m. Eastern is not always the most opportune time for people that are working. It's very nice so far. I kind of wish that I had been able to get the Toro size instead of the Corona size, because I bet that Toro would be really nice. Like, I think Toro might have given us more oomph, right? This is very mellow. This is mellow, complex, sweet, a little bit spicy, but really smooth. Like, the flavors are smooth. They're all together. Smoke production has been good. Like, nice flavors. I don't know about you guys, but like, it's been really hot here this week. The heat has returned to Baltimore, so I have not smoked at all this week. I've just been like, when it gets to be like 95 or plus, it's like, I don't really want to do any smoking. I'm just going to go home and chill in the AC. Like, I'm even finding that cigar lounges tend to be a little bit smoky. And I'm like, I don't like. I think the older that I've gotten more sensitive to smoke around me. Like right now, this is actually working really well. The door is open over in this direction, creating a cross breeze that actually doesn't cross me. It actually is crossing somewhere between me and the camera. And then the smoke is just kind of like traversing up to the ventilation. So as you can see, it's really just blowing away. It's really nice. That's really nice. Do you guys use iPads? Like, I have an iPad from 2012. I think it's 2012. I bought it, the very first iPad mini. And obviously it's out of date, obsolete, and just doesn't, there's nothing, I don't know if there's anything modern for it. But I was watching this guy on YouTube that I know, a guy named Aaron Parecki, and he does a lot of live streaming stuff and live streaming technology. And he was talking about how we can take the switchers, like the switcher that I'm using here, like this one, right? This switcher here, and how you can use iPad to access that and get greater functionality on the fly. And then you could do a lot more things like integrate graphics into it. And I'm wondering if that's something to consider. I mean, the thing is, if I go with a different system, like right now we use laptops or computers to cameras connected to the switcher to the computer, and then this StreamYard here to send out most of these live streams. But when I'm traveling, sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to have everything with me, right? Because we're traveling, and maybe that still means you have to have your switcher. So maybe that's not the route. But one thing for sure, I will be in New York City at the end of October. The NAB show, the National Association of Broadcasters, the same show that I attended back in April in Las Vegas, is having their New York Expo. And so I was thinking maybe I'll go check that out. And so maybe I'll be in New York City for a few days. So I don't know if that's going to coincide with the Thursday. I think it's normally, at least the Vegas show tends to happen like Sunday through Wednesday. So we may or may not have a show then. But, if otherwise, those of you up in New York, like Young Ma and Mum, love to see you guys. Maybe get together for a cigar. Rusty, too. And Inting, if you're there, let's meet up. Let's plan on meeting up and having a cigar somewhere. So we're getting a little bit of an uneven burn. Right? You can see it kind of there. I don't know if I'm pulling it on too hard or not. I mean, I don't think that I'm pulling on it really hard. It's a nice cigar and it's a nice smoke. I'm just not like, I don't think that I like it in that fashion that I want to suck on it hard. I'm really just kind of enjoying myself with it. But yeah, there is some definite unevenness to the burn. But look at the color of the ash. Very nice color. Nice smoke. Pleasant, enjoyable. A little bit of spicy. Good complexity still. It's still very nice. Still very good. But I would like to see it catch up with the burn. Like it's lower here, longer there, right? Maybe I should just wait a few moments. So the Writers Guild and SAG strikes have now taken a very long turn. And now I guess we should start to worry about how is it going to impact our entertainment pleasures. Now that I'm thinking about it, on the entertainment front, now this might be the opportunity for YouTubers to really take more of a leap, because there's just opportunity now. And the less programming that comes out from the majors and the streaming services means that there's, people are going to want to watch something. Like there's a good complexity here of flavors. A little bit of tropicality, some spiciness, fruit, like tropical fruit. Very interesting. Like unusual and unique now. Body-wise, I would say it's on the lighter side. It's medium light. Good spiciness to it. Like I can feel some spiciness down here in the back of my throat. Let's try with our iced coffee. Not bad. Not bad. Nice pairing. When we first start off with the iced coffee, a little bit sharper, a little bit bolder, right? But now that there's been more meltdown, like the ice is melting more, it's getting more diluted. We're getting closer and closer to that sweet milkiness. It's not quite there yet, but the sweetness is starting to come out in the coffee. Really pleasant. Okay, we're starting to get a little bit of better burning. Look at that, better burning. Starting to catch up. I'm feeling that I want to tap it out because it's feeling to get long. And Brian says, God, I could go for ice coffee. Is it pretty hot where you guys are today, Brian? At the warehouse? Could have stayed here and had and joined me for the iced coffee. Brian was kind enough before he went out to meet up with the boys. Stopped by and brought some pretzels. Shout out to you, Brian, for the pretzels. Thank you. I will be enjoying them with a sandwich soon. Or maybe just chocolate. Yeah, maybe chocolate. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. There's a podcast out there that comes out every Friday, I think it is, called Cooking Issues with the host by the name of Dave Arnold. And Dave is an old-time chef, like cooking guy that's been in the food business for a long time. And he's got a really interesting podcast that I've been listening to. New Yorker, so really New Yorker kind of mindset and approach to things, but really deeply experienced. And I really enjoyed what he talks about. It's called Cooking Issues. And he talks about food and preparations and all this detail. I was wondering, I wonder if there's something that we could do with like for a coffee issues. I wouldn't call it that because that would just be too much of a ripoff. But something where people could, like he does it live from Rockefeller Center. So he does have people that will call in every once in a while. So I'm thinking maybe we could do a live stream 1 day a week, 1 hour show. People could call in or send in their messages. And we just talk about coffee and coffee stuff, which may not necessarily be much different than what we do on this live stream as well as on the coffee Q&A in the mornings. Oh, that reminds me. I should probably make that a podcast. I got to work on that. Brian says the fans are on, but I could use a cold drink. Yeah, like if is it like here at the roastery where the slab is hot, so it radiates the heat despite it being cooler outside? Or is it relatively cool on the slab? This is smoking very well, by the way. Maybe surprising, maybe not surprisingly. But I'm rather impressed. But I'm going to see, look, it's getting all kind of wonky looking. Look at that. Right, look at that. Look at the way it looks. It just looks like it needs to be tapped out. Okay, that's better. So there was a crack in it, but look at this. I don't know if you can see this as well as I can see it, but wow, it is really, this is some heavy magnesium in the soil of this farm that grew the tobacco, because look at that. That is some white ash. Brian says Brian says the slab is cool. I don't know the issue with the roastery. Well, that's really just the slab. I mean, it's like when you get your new house with a garage, I think you'll find it that way, that the slab gets hot in the summer and just radiates the heat and keeps everything hot. And then in the winter, it gets super cold and then radiates the cold and everything's chilly. There's hard in this part of the world. There seems to hardly be a time when you have that nice, middle ground, right? So if you get a new place and you decide that you're going to get a garage, I suggest getting radiant heat or radiant cooling set in the slab. I think that will make it beautiful. Beautiful. I kind of wish I had that. When we grow up and become big YouTubers and build a new building, that's what I'm going to do. Radiant heat throughout the whole roasting space. Yeah. There was a few moments ago where I was kind of getting a little bit bored. I almost said that, but I wasn't. I decided just not to say it, but that's passing now. Now it's still very interesting and complex, and we're getting close to the end of the first third. So, George, what are you doing? What are you smoking tonight? More of the Wilwense stuff and any bourbon for tonight? And did you guys get the heavy storms? We got some pretty heavy storms here, right around 7 o'clock or so, or just before 7, maybe 6:45. Even had a moment where the lights flickered. Like I saw it why it happened. Like there was a lightning strike. Power went out just for a brief moment. Hopefully it didn't fry one of my hard drives. There's some weird splitting. This ash splits in strange ways. I don't really know what the deal is with it, but you can kind of see the way it's split. That's kind of interesting, why that happens. I don't know why this thing doesn't want to focus. Forget it. I'm just going to tap it, get rid of all of that. George says, no rain today down here. Tatuai Black Band with some Gatorade. Oh, Gatorade Zero. I guess got to keep it toned down for the school nights, huh? Got it, my friend, got it. All right, so we are definitely past the first third marker. And I think the body has been, sorry, the cameras are routed. I think flavor has been very good. Body has been low to medium, but very good. Everything has been very good so far. So far, burn and draw, excellent. Really nice. Like so far, this is very good. Like very good. Could it be very good plus? Perhaps there could be an argument for very good plus. Mm, mm, mm. That's a nice pairing. That is a nice accompaniment. Now, you know what else I wanted to try? Yesterday, I made some bolognese, right? So I like to make bolognese. I take, the basic mirepoix of, onions, carrots, celery, and I like to put them in a what do you call it? In a food processor. Put them in the food processor, process it really, 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 really fine, so it's nice and fine, like finely ground, and saute that in olive oil, break it down a little bit, get it nice and kind of browning, right? Then I like to add the beef. So I just do beef. Like you could do, of course, beef and veal and pork if you want to add that, but I like the beef. And then what I like to do is take that, cook that up real nice. Then I add in some cream or milk. Yesterday I had milk and I have cream, so I just use the milk. Reduce that down, and then that's the danger. This is the danger zone, right? So when you're making bolognese, you add the milk, or add some nutmeg, then the milk, and then reduce. Like you want to evaporate the liquid of the milk, right? The water of the milk, and get those milk solids like nice and incorporated into it. However, you got to be careful because you can go too far and then scorch the milk, and then you've ruined the entire batch. I've done that in the past. So just watch, stir, boil, stir, and finally you get it right down, right when it's about to evaporate. So you've got all the liquid out, and then I hit it with red wine. Now I just use whatever red wine I have available, and I had this Jacob's Creek Cabernet 2020, and it's a nice, it's a decent. I don't even know how much I paid for it. It's in the kitchen, so I don't think I bought it for very, probably $10 or less. Really more for use in cooking. Add that to it, reduce, salt, reduce that down, right? And once you get it really reduced, almost to the point that it's evaporated again, right? So you just got now the essence of the red wine in the meat and the veggies, right? Then we come in with the tomatoes, right? So finally, my tomato harvest has been going kind of crazy. So I've got tomatoes coming out of, I'm up to here in tomatoes. Really nice tomatoes. And I'm like losing tomatoes at a high rate of speed because I can't eat them fast enough. So again, take a bunch of tomatoes, put them in the food processor, puree them all the way down to they're just like a juice, like a slushy juice, right? So instead of using canned tomatoes, now I can use fresh. Put those in. Then simmer that sucker for like good 2 hours, 3 hours. So finally, that's kind of what I did. And so I wanted to, let's see here. George says, yep, replacing the sweat lost today during bus duty. Oh, bus duty. Oh, my. You had to drive the bus or just ride along with the students in the bus? So actually, when I made that bolognese yesterday, today I made it with some pasta, some crusty bread that I got, really nice. But I thought, you know what, I'm gonna drink some of this for lunch. Nice and fruity. Like I didn't really try the Jacob's Creek before, but it's nice and fruity. And I thought that I would try some with today's cigar. So let's pour some out in our very simple Italian style glass. This is actually just a Riedel water glass, but let's see how it goes with the cigar. Man, it does have a nice fresh fruitiness, like very fruit forward, not very tannic, very light bodied, really approachable and agreeable kind of wine to drink. Like if you were to chill this down, like there's a good sweetness to it. It's not chillicella kind of sweet, right? Not that chillicella lambrusco kind of sweetness, but there's a nice sweetness. Like if you ever had that Chianti from Italy, the one that has the raffia and the little twig wrapped on front, the Abruzzi or Abruzzo, it's kind of got that kind of sweetness. Light, fun, fresh. Man, I like that. It's a little bit dry on the finish, though. A little bit dry on the palate after. But not heavily tannic. Like sometimes you get those California reds. Like this is actually a California, right? No, this is Australia. But sometimes you get those California, the big California like cabs. Early on, they have this really harsh tannicness. It doesn't have that. It's nice and approachable. And now that I'm thinking about that it's Australian, that sweet fruitiness reminds me of like Molly Duker. Molly Duker makes a wine. I can't remember which one it was. It's been a long time since I've had it. Really fun and refreshing kind of wine. I really like that one. Whoops. George says, no, he was outside in the beating sun. Oh, gosh. For a parent pickup and 29 buses. Wow, 29 buses. 45 minutes to 29 buses. All right, so on a commercial Greyhound style bus, they will hold upwards of 52 to 57 passengers. So I'm presuming, I'm making the presumption, and I'm probably wrong. I'm going to make the presumption that school buses are the similar capacity. So you're talking, what, 29 buses? That's almost like 1,500 students. Is that right? How many students you guys have? Holy moly. That's a lot of students. While I do like this wine, I don't know if it's a good pairing for the cigar. Like the wine has good, robust fruitiness to it, sweetness, really nice flavor. But I think that flavor is overpowering the flavor of the cigar. Whereas the coffee doesn't overpower the cigar. 1,100 students, not all buses. Wow, still 1,100 students. It's a lot. Kudos to you, man. Let me drink some of that coffee and hopefully clear off that palate so we can taste the cigar again. I've been watching a lot of reruns of Strange New Worlds, the Star Trek series. I really enjoy that series, and I've been watching more and more of the old episodes from season. I've watched seasons 1 and 2 over the last week, just because I'm like, oh, I want to check it out again. Very enjoyable. And so some of you may know that I go to these like sci-fi cons. One's a sci-fi con that happens in February. The other one is a Star Trek con, mostly Star Trek focused con that happens in July. And they both happen at the Delta Hotels, the old Marriott here in Hunt Valley, which is maybe a mile away from where we are right now. So I find it super convenient to go to these cons, which have people that come from all over the region to attend, and I only have to drive 5 minutes. which I really enjoy. However, I just heard that the Delta Hotels has just announced that they're going to be closing their hotel on October 31st. I mean, honestly, it's probably for the better. It is an old facility. I mean, it's been there before. I think it existed before I was born. So, over 50 years. And for the last few years, the conference rooms, air conditioning is very poor. So, especially in July, it's like brutal. Luckily, the ballroom air conditioning works great. But the escalator going down to the ballrooms, like if you know, the main ballrooms are sub levels, right? They're below grade. So you have to go down. And the down escalator has been condemned by the state. Like they actually they forced them to shut the whole thing down so that, basically there's a sign on it that says, this is a death trap. It must stop working. So you now have to walk down the escalator, which, as you know, escalator treads are much higher than stairs, so it really sucks. And so I guess the hotel has reached a point of dilapidation that they're just going to close it. I don't know. No one knows what they're going to do with it yet. One guy on one of the boards was speculating it's going to be a car dealership. God, I hope not. That would be a shame. But that's a change. So now the organizations that run those two cons are now trying to find a new venue to work with. So hopefully they can find a venue that's not far away. And I'm pretty sure they'll find one that's relatively close because the organizations that run those two cons are based here and basically one's based in Towson, the other one was based, I think, in Timonium. So I'm sure those guys do not want to go far away for their events. But evidently, the one guy from the Farpoint Con that happens in February, I wrote to him and asked him, hey, what's going on with that? And they're like, well, we're working with Marriott's working very hard to help them find a new location for their event. But I wonder how they're going to do that. I wonder if they'll be able to do that because it is these two are, while they are very small, I guess, in the con world, it's relatively sizable, for the hotel. They take up a ballroom the entire weekend. They take up, many of the conference. They basically take up all the conference rooms. So there's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All 12 conferences are full, plus a couple of hospitality suites. So they do need a pretty sizable hotel. And I don't know if there's any hotels in this area that are as big as the Delta. Also, Comic-Con is coming this weekend. Comic-Con Baltimore. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday starting at 1. Saturday, Sunday, it's starting at 10 a.m. I just heard about it. I just found out. I mean, I know that it's supposed to happen in September. I just don't know when. I just saw it today in the Baltimore Banner. They're like, oh, it's this weekend. I was like, ooh, I should go. So I might go down there Sunday to check it out. Maybe bring my nephew along. And then also the Maryland Renaissance Festival has started. Started a couple of weekends ago. Now it runs through the end of October. Also, the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair is the same time. I just saw that also in the Baltimore Banner. I was like, maybe I should go. No, I saw that in the Philadelphia Inquirer. I was like, maybe I should go check that out too. Like, Maryland Renaissance Festival and then Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair. It'd be kind of interesting. I don't know if you find that interesting. I find it interesting. What's up, Steven? How you doing, man? Good to see you. How's everyone going? What's the weather like out there, man? We were just touching on 100-degree weather yesterday. Today, maybe 96 degrees, but we got some rain, so we got a little bit cooler in the evening, so that's really pleasant. What are you smoking out there tonight or this evening out there in Phoenix? Tonight we're smoking this Caldwell Instant Classic, doing really, really well. I'm really surprised. We're about halfway through the second third. It's been very good, very good. This is really very good. Like the way this is smoking, I think it'll be, if it continues just the way that it has been for the first half, I think it'll be one to consider buying for you guys. Like it's got good complexity, a little bit of spiciness, a little bit of pepperiness. It's aged that after they rolled it, they aged it 4 years. So it's really got a nice complexity that is really kind of melded together well. I think a lot of cigars that are produced, you know, they're going to spend maybe 2 months in the escaparate. And the escaparate is basically the big room that they keep all their cigars in. They put them in like cabinet bundles, right? Not cabinet bundles, I guess bigger than cabinet bundles. So they put them like maybe 50 cigar bundles, 100 cigar bundles, and they put them in these big Spanish cedar rooms that are Spanish cedar racks, and they stack them up, and they let them age. This one evidently was left to age for 4 years, and yeah, it's pretty damn good. Like, I think it has improved from the first and third. Nice complexity and spiciness. Like, you know, as we're getting more through it, I'm getting more enthusiastic about it. You know, we haven't seen it in a while. We haven't seen Young Ma in a while. I wonder how Young Ma's doing. Hope he's doing well. Young Ma, if you watch the replays, hope you're doing well. I'm guessing you're doing a lot more fishing. Look forward to seeing you again. I don't know if you guys have been following that other show, Only Murders in the Building. I've been following that. I finally saw the most recent episode yesterday, and it's good. It's good. I don't know if I feel that it's as great as the first season. Like the first season, I thought was excellent. Second season was as good. Third season, I don't know, and I don't know if it's maybe because I'm able to binge like the other. I only started watching recently, so this summer, so I was able to binge the first and second season in a matter of like 5 days. And season 3, I've been following every week as it's been released. So I don't know if it's because I've been able to absorb the entirety of the series in one, couple sittings, and I can get and connect it more, or by waiting week after week, you're just kind of like trying to connect, back and forth. But I don't know. It's good, but I don't think it's as good. And Brian's here with us as well. Your brother's here. He stopped by the roastery earlier to give me some pretzels. These hollow pretzels. I'm presuming they're from Costco. Some of you guys I know are into watches, and so I just saw a friend of mine out in California sent me an invite to join this Facebook group called Coffee and Watches. And I just started reading it today, and I was like laughing. I was not laughing, but like, so you may have noticed this watch that I've been wearing, this yellow watch. Whoa, we are out of power again. This yellow watch. This is actually the Swatch Omega Moon Swatch series. So these are bioceramic bodied watches that are made in the style of the Omega Moon's, not Moon Swatch. I want to say Moon Swatch, but it's in the Speedmaster for the moon Speedmaster, right? The one that the astronauts wore. And they made them in 11 different styles initially last year, and for about just under $300. And they look like the Omegas. You know, they tell time. You know, they're not Omegas, so they don't have the Omega movement. They're not metal housings. They're just in the style of it, made by Swatch with a quartz movement. So stylish, inexpensive, fun. And you know, when these came out over a year ago, like in April of 2022, there was a big, you can only buy them at the actual Swatch boutiques, which there are none here in Baltimore. I actually got this one at the boutique in Manila when I was there in June. And but a year ago, they were so popular, people were waiting in line for them. And then they were in the aftermarket where it was like $1,000 for it. I was like, that's craziness. I'll never spend that kind of money for the watch. If I happen to go into a boutique and I happen to find them, I'll buy one, right? Like I went to Vegas last April. There's a boutique right at McCarran Airport, right in one of the levels. I stopped by. You got the watch? No. We don't have a watch. Went by there again in April. No. Still don't have it. And so now there's been over a year. We've finally reached a point where if you stop in these boutiques, typically they'll have a few of them. Perhaps not all 11, but quite a bit. When I went to King of Prussia Mall a couple weeks back when I went to see Oppenheimer, I stopped into the one there and they had like a good 8 of them. And I was like, oh, nice. Now, one's enough for me. I don't need one. But they just announced, like in the last couple of days, that there's a new one called the Omega Blancpain. And Blancpain is not a watch manufacturer that I'm terribly familiar with. You know, I'm more of a Breitling, Bell and Howell, and Omega person, right? Like if I could have the Planet Ocean, I would love to have the Planet Ocean. But $4,500, I'm not going to buy that. I mean, maybe when I become a big YouTube star, then I can buy one of those. But for the moment, definitely not. But the Blancpain, again, is like $13,000 if you buy the Blancpain. And so they have a Blancpain Swatch. So again, with this bioceramic stuff, for just about $400 US. So 300 some pounds. So, you know, if I maybe one day in the future, I happen to be at a Swatch store and they have the one that I like, maybe I'll get one. I don't want to get carried away with watches, you know. But something you might want to consider, the Blancpain, you could look it up online, Blancpain Swatch or Swatch Blancpain. Blancpain, Blancpain, or Blancpain. I think that's the name. So we are getting close. We are almost finishing the second third. Actually, I'll say we finished the second third. And I'm going to say that it has performed better. I'm going to say 8.5. Body really hasn't changed, so I'm still going to say 8 for that. But man, really great smoke. Still, burn and draw has been excellent. If it continues the way, that's going to be excellent. Consistency, excellent. So what are you guys smoking? I know that George is smoking the Black Label Tatuaje, which is a fantastic smoke. I still have one of the original release Toros that came in that like melamine like tube, unopened. I don't know what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for something. Tap that out again. We're moving into the last third. of a cigar that's been smoking very well, very well. I don't know what the MSRP is on this thing. Let me see if I can find that on the. And I don't recall what I picked. I picked this up while I was in King of Prussia at Cigar Mojo. $16. Box of 10 for $160. All right. So this so far has been a great cigar. Very good plus in flavor. Very good in body. 4 years of aging. Okay, so that's got to count for something, right? Because the manufacturer's now or the factory's holding it for 4 years. So there's occupational costs of storing the cigar. But $16, man, you know. If this was $10 or below, all day long, buy. But at $16, that extra $6, and I get it, there's 4 years of aging, and that has to account for something. But at $16, that puts a pause in the purchasing. Like, this is not a cigar to go buck wild with, right? Like, you know, you wouldn't run out and buy 10 boxes of it. I mean, I'd buy 10 boxes of Revenges, sure. Actually, one of the fantasies I've had on cigars is Paul Gamerian down at his McLean, Virginia offices and cigar shop. In his humidor, he stores these little tiny cigars. They're called bombones and Maduro. He stores them in these big, like, rustic, rough boxes, and they're basically like planks of cedar or sides of cedar that are taped together, and the cigars are stacked in rows, like maybe 20 to a row and several rows high. And at one point, I think he was selling them for $1,000 if you bought the whole thing. I always wanted to buy one of those. I was like, when I become a very big YouTuber, then I'm going to walk down there one day and be like, PG, let me have that. This is very good. This is very good. I mean, I get it. You know, the price is higher because, you know, it's aged by them. But that $16 for me does put a pause in the purchasing en masse. Mainly because I'm not of the means that can smoke daily cigars at $16. There, I've said it. I've admitted to it. But definitely, I think it's worth buying some, trying them out, seeing for yourself what you think. For it is really, really good. Really very good. Have you guys been following that Star Wars series, Ahsoka? I have not seen the most recent episode for this week. I know last week George was like poo-pooing on it. He's like, oh, it's a kid's show. I don't know why he's against it. But I mean, I think it's fine. I think it's been interesting. There's been some things that I'm kind of like, what are you talking about? Like Grand Admiral Thrawn, who they're trying to find, they found a map that showed that he's in another galaxy. I'm like, how do you get to another galaxy? Like, of course, then they kind of introduced this idea of a wormhole, and it's like, come on now. Now we're getting to Star Trek technobabble. But back to Star Trek, the Strange New Worlds. This season, on their 9th episode, their penultimate episode for the season, they had this musical episode, right? So they made a musical out of the episode. Everybody's singing. And I remember watching in this series. I watched it when it came out. I remember watching. I was thinking, oh, man. The next con I go to, there's going to be all these fans singing these songs. That should be quite interesting. Now that we're getting to this third, right? I'm smoking. I think there's a little bit of acidity building, probably because I'm smoking under harder and we're really close to the end now. But there's definitely a little bit more spices, getting a little bit heavier. A little bit more interesting. When we started out, I was thinking, I said something about like, I wish I kind of got the Toro version of this. I don't know. I think this Corona size is just right. Like, it's good. It's very good. It's very, like, I don't know, maybe now, like before I was saying that Toro would probably give you something more fuerte, right? But then this one, I think this is enough. This has got good complexity. Cops are riding by. Good complexity, good spice, good flavor. And it's a nice size. It's a nice size for smoking. And this would be a nice size to have out on the sporting clays course. Usually when we go shooting, we kind of make an outing of it, right? I usually bring on a little cooler so I have some beverages. We bring out chairs. We sit around. Maybe we'll shoot around. We'll have a seat, have some drinks, smoke a cigar, shoot another round, and then pretty much call it a day. And pretty much we burned up like several hours of time. Like I think last Saturday I got there around 2 p.m. We were there till like 4:30. They closed at 5. So I was like, okay, good time. A good hang. So the club that we go to at Loch Raven has 4 different courses. They have skeet courses, which is you move through multiple stations and shoot different ways. They have a trap course. I think that's also multiple stations. They shoot different ways. They have a wobble course. So like trap, I think just goes out. I don't really know. But yeah, trap goes out. Skeet goes across. Wobble goes out, but it also goes up and down. So it flies in all different directions. So I find wobble to be an interesting challenge, right? And one that wobble's nice because you can go there. It's kind of these automated launching systems. So you just call out the pull and it launches the bird and then you shoot at it. I think trap has the same kind of triggering system. Skeet, however, you have to have this trigger, this manual trigger that you have to punch and then shoot. So solo shooting is very difficult. It's kind of not worth it. I've only done it once. But I shot at it once. I've not used the trap at all. And then they have the 5 stand. The 5 stand are these 5 different stands. And they have all these different machines that are throwing the birds, the clay targets, in all kinds of directions. Coming at you, going away, going across, going right, going in. all kinds of craziness coming from overhead. And that's very challenging, I think. I think they're all challenging in their own way. Like skeet, you kind of think, oh, skeet's going to be pretty easy, but it's actually quite challenging. But mainly we do 5-stand and wobble. So today I was doing wobble, and I like to do the wobble because I'm getting better at that. Like I think today my score was 12 out of 25. Last week I hit my all-time high, 17 out of 25. So felt very good about that. But 5-stand, those sporting clays are super difficult. Like I got hammered last week. I got 2 out of 25. I was like, oh man. I don't believe I have broken the double digits in sporting clays. Let me have a look here at my. Yeah, like last week, 7s. Oh, I did get 5-stand 12 once. Okay, so not bad, not bad. But definitely much more challenging, much more challenging. This weekend, starting tomorrow at the club, they're having the Maryland State Championships in skeet. So like it was a couple weeks ago when they had the regional championships, it's going to be pretty crowded at the club this weekend. So I'm glad I got to get out there today. I think I want to get one of those vests. Like there's this company called Purdy in the United Kingdom that makes these like shotguns that are like super, like I guess they're like the highest end of all the shotguns in the world. Like I was watching this video about them, and the one guy was like, "Oh yeah, this is $150,000." Like, whoa, $150,000. Okay, that's crazy. And then they had these used ones, $85,000. No, $85,000 for a used gun? That's craziness. But they do a line of like clothing, you know, that British kind of clothing where they wear tweed and all that kind of thing. And they had a sale on one, $250, down from $600. I was like, oh, still expensive. But they had it in my size. I was like, ooh, maybe I should get one. Like, nah, I'm not gonna buy one of those. Then I went to look today. Oh, sold out. Like, sold out. I'm just gonna have to make do with the Beretta vest, which is fine because I've got all Beretta gear anyway. Like I shoot Beretta, Brian shoots Browning, Bud shoots TriStar, and then Eric shoots. He shoots a variety. Like I think he's got the Beretta, he's got Stevens, and he has. I think he's got most. I think that's what he has, and maybe Remington. I think. Cigar still smoking well. A little bit more spicy in the last third. A little bit more punchy, but still very good. You know, speaking of shows, like I follow those 3 shows right now. Is that right? 3? Oh yeah, I was just watching Lioness. Lioness just finished on Sunday. Good ending. I wonder if they're going to bring back season 2. It was 8 episodes, so I was a little bit disappointed. I was hoping they would go for 10. That's the one thing with this whole new streaming service kind of stuff. It's like their seasons are only 8 or 10 episodes, and it's like, come on, man, we need more. Like that's the one thing. I know I've said this before, and I always keep harping on this, but like in broadcast television, it's 21 to 23 episodes. That's great because you get a lot to watch, and I hope we can I wish they would like expand that. And then people complain because they say in a 23 episode season, there's a couple shows that are just kind of like giveaways that aren't as good as the rest. I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with the giveaway shows because you know what? It's still that world that we're inhabiting, that we're following. And it's like, to me, it's interesting. I just wish it would be longer. Like some of my friends will recommend other shows, but it's also like probably 3 is the amount of shows that I like to watch in any part of the year because that's just enough to watch and not take up too much time. Like I don't really have a lot of time to sit down and watch a lot of shows. So 3 shows is good. So now that Lioness is finished, we still have a few more left of Only Murders in the Building, probably a couple more of Ahsoka, Star Wars. And then soon, Star Trek Lower Decks will start again, which is the animated series, which I find to be quite a lot of fun. So we'll go back down to just 2 or 3, and then maybe just down to 1. Maybe then I can start something else. And Steven says it's 104 degrees out there at 6:30 p.m. He's smoking the Arturo Fuente Double Chateau Maduro. Nice. And a Mountain Dew Spark. You know, I got some of those Mountain Dews because, you know, Tony was always talking about those Mountain Dews, and I want to try it. You know, so if you look at a can of Coke, a 12-ounce can of Coke is about 130 calories, mostly from sugar. Mountain Dew, I think it's like 160. Like I was drinking one the other day because I have a bunch of them left, and I'm like, I need to get rid of these. So I was drinking one, but I was like, I could feel it. Like I could feel the sugar. I was like, I need to stop drinking this. I can't drink this anymore. I think that's the whole big thing when Mountain Dew was real popular. Like when we were young, my brother and my cousins, they were Mountain Dew freaks. Like they love Mountain Dew all the time, Mountain Dew. But I think it was the sugar, that sugar that they loved. We're getting a little bit of an uneven burn, right? It's a little bit uneven because I'm probably puffing on it too hard. I'm going to try to slow down a little bit. But 104, that's still kind of brutal. Yesterday was about 100 degrees. I went out. Luckily, yesterday, unlike typical Mid-Atlantic, it wasn't so humid. So the heat was hot, but it wasn't terribly brutal. So that was really nice. I don't know if you follow the news, but did you see that on the news about Burning Man? So Burning Man happens up in the playa, the desert playa up in northern Nevada, about maybe 3 hours north of Reno. And they got some unseasonal rain this past week, which basically took the playa that's normally hard and dry and just turned into this like cakey mud that just was, they forced everyone to stay, just to camp out, to ride out the storm because basically people were getting stuck in their vehicles, their shoes were getting stuck into the mud. And they finally had their mass exodus. And so they moved out. And then I just saw a report today that was talking about I guess the government has closed the playa, so nobody can go in and out of it anymore. Which I believe is what they normally do this time of year when the rains come, because it becomes impassable. But one of the reports said that they have these spotter pots out there, the portable toilets. Now that they're out there in the playa, and they're stuck, and they're full, and nobody can service them. So the people, that one reporter's like, wonder what's going to happen out there. It's like, well, I guess it'll dry up. It'll be a mess. Like, I think a lot of people some people have cars and all kinds of stuff out there. Normally, the Burning Man is really interesting. Like, you might have heard about it. 70,000 people go to it. It's been running for 40 years. And the whole thing is about not leaving a trace. So they go in and they build this massive city for a week. And then they build this wooden man and they burn him down. like Burning Man, right? Burn it down. And then, what's up, Mom? How are you, man? Good to see you. Welcome to the show. Good to have you finally. How you doing this week? You doing well up there in New York? And they do this Burning Man, and then there's the exodus, and everybody tears everything down, packs it all, and drives away, and the playa is left in its natural state. I think this is the only year that they've had this problem, and there's still stuff out there, which is kind of crazy. Oh, my cigar has gone out. No worries, my friend. You're always welcome. Good to see you. I'm sorry we're getting close to the end because my cigar's almost done. We're smoking the Caldwell Instant Classic, and it has been a very good, great cigar. I'm gonna relight it. I guess it's gone out because, of course, as we get closer to the end, the moisture at the end of the cigar is always higher because of your mouth, my mouth. And I do want to relight it because it is quite good. Oh, very good. Early in the show, I was saying that at the end of October, well, I almost went to New York this week for the B&H Build conference that happened yesterday and today. Just finished this afternoon. I almost jumped out there, but I was just kind of feeling lazy to travel. But the National Association of Broadcasters show is happening at the Javits Center at the end of October. So I was saying that I'm planning to go to that. So perhaps we can find a time we can get a little get together and have a cigar together while I'm up in New York at the end of October. I guess I'll let you know, and we'll figure out more plans as we get closer to that date. Definitely more strength. It's a stronger cigar, spicier cigar now. In the last third, it's just been a culmination. Like it started off nice and lightly spicy in the first third. Got a little bit to the point where I almost said that I was getting a little bit bored. Then it came alive, went into the second third, and just throughout the entire cigar, it's just been building. Very enjoyable. All right, excellent. Do you have any favorite smoke spots in the city? Hopefully we can get together come out. Rusty can come into the city from Jersey. Maybe get Youngma to come back out. Maybe Inting as well. I think Inting is in New Jersey, so maybe get him to come to the city as well. Spicy now. Now it's the spice. Now, especially after the relight, a lot of spice, a lot of spice on the palate, tingling on the palate. I don't know about you guys, but like on I'll read news typically on my Google feed on the iPhone, which I guess Apple has something. I don't know if Apple, no, maybe Apple does have something, but like, I don't know, maybe my preference, but it always gives me a lot of like Harry and Meghan news. And I'm like, why do I want to have more Harry and Meghan stuff? And they even have news like from the Big Bang Theory. Like Big Bang Theory stars do this. And I'm like, the Big Bang Theory ended like 4 years ago. Why are these companies still writing articles about them? I guess people are still big fans. So I'm enjoying this cigar. And the Perla Negra that we brewed as an iced coffee with the AeroPress XL has been a really great pairing. I've been really enjoying the two together. Mom says, I'm about 20 to 30 minutes from the city. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Yeah, because you're up in Queens, if I remember correctly. One of our good friends is originally from the Queens area. I'm not sure I can't remember what part of Queens he's in now. His daughter now lives in Park Slope, which evidently her and her roommates pay $5,000 a month. I was like, oh, $5,000 a month. That's incredible. Oh, Westchester. All right, excellent, excellent. Not too bad, not too far. Any spots in the city you like? I've been to, we used to go a lot to a place called Cigar Inn. It's now called Casa de Monte Cristo, up on 51st and I think 2nd, or 51st and 1st. We used to go there quite a bit. I usually stay with a friend of mine who lives in Chelsea. I stay at his apartment. He's got a little bit of space for me. Last time I was in the city, last couple of times, we've been going to a place called Cigar and Books, I think it's called, over in also in the Chelsea kind of area, like below 14th Street. That's a nice spot too. If it's not too crowded, it's pretty good. Sometimes it does get a little bit crowded. I've also been to the Carnegie Club. Nice place. I thought the price of cigars was a little bit on the high side. And then I've also smoked at Casa de Monte Cristo. Club Macanudo. I brought a jacket and some nice pants that trip. So we went to Club Macanudo. Maybe that's a little bit too hoity-toity, with the clothing. But it was nice service, nice atmosphere, nice time. But I haven't been to Cigar Inn since it changed to Casa. One of the places I really liked, and I don't recall the name of it, but it used to be down in the Village, on the West Village. It was on West Broadway, I think it was. Little tiny cigar place, like it's it's kind of wide but shallow. Like once you walk in, there's the counter. And the humidor was to the right, tiny humidor but stacked, filled. Like when I stopped there, the last time I went there, they had a bunch of like Tatuai Monster boxes. I was like, oh. But there's a small spiral staircase that was in front of the counters and by the front of the window. You go down there into the basement. They had like a makeshift lounge in the basement. So there was all this stuff that was like stacked in the basement. And then there were chairs scattered around, and you just met the most interesting people. Like I remember the last time I was there, I met this movie director. I don't remember. He wasn't like of Christopher Nolan fame. Like he was well accomplished, but just fascinating people that you meet in these places. Them downtown shops are that they are. That's why you don't see me at the Davidoff. I'm like, oh, I can't go to that. I can't afford to smoke at Davidoff. Brian has a funny story talking about how he went to Davidoff. He goes to Davidoff when he's in the city. He'll buy a bunch of cigars. And they have an upstairs lounge, this private lounge that you take it to an elevator. He was talking to this one guy that was a regular there. There's a smaller lounge where they can smoke, and there's a private lounge upstairs. And he was like, wow. I was talking to the guy, and the guy turns out that he spends $50,000 plus a year there. And that guy was still not invited to the private lounge. It's like, oh. If you go around the shops in this area in Baltimore, and if you're spending $50,000 a year, like they're going to roll the carpet out for you. But $50,000 a year in New York City, they don't even think anything of you. They're like, you ain't got nothing on us, son. You ain't got nothing on us. We don't owe you anything. All right, we're coming right down to the end. I'm gonna get one more puff out of this thing. My goal is one more puff. Okay, I can't burn anymore. Burning my fingers. All right, let's have a look at our score sheet. I'm going to say that our flavor is still very good plus, 8.5. We had increase in body, so I'm going to say 8.25. Burn and draw have been excellent. Excellent. Very high on those marks. I'm going to say excellent 9. Consistency 9. It's gotten consistency wise, it's been excellent. Through the thirds, it got even better. So consistency 9. Now the overall score, we're talking 8.5 to 9. I'm going to say 8.75 for the last one. Unfortunately, the camera above battery is dead, so I don't think I can get that to show you, unfortunately. But let's go and look. We have 8 plus 16 plus 16.5 plus 16.75 plus 18 plus 8.75 gives us a total score of 84. Now let me pull that up on our rankings so that we can see. All right, here's our rankings. We've got a solid 84. Oh, which leaves us tied. Oh, not tied, but 84. So I think we have 2 ties above it. So 16. So this would be cigar number 14 for the year. Caldwell Instant Classic 2018. That's a great showing. Fantastic. Awesome. Love it. Love it. So a great cigar. Really enjoyable. I really like that one. 84. To compare it with the boys from Half Wheel, they gave it what'd they give? They gave it an 89. Habano profile. I would say that there could be a very much Habano forward style of cigar. It's nice because it has been aged for 4 years. So that really makes a big difference. And of course, that adds to the cost. So it's $16 MSRP, which I think is pretty high. Like I said earlier in the broadcast, that price puts a pause. Like, I'm not going to run out and buy a lot of them, but I'll buy a few more maybe. Like if I see them out there, it could be worth smoking. And if you haven't tried it yet, it's definitely worth. I think it's definitely worth your while to give a try, to give a taste on, and see whether or not you like it. All right, so I guess that's it for this week. Thank you very much for tuning in. Appreciate you spending another Thursday night here with me on the Coffee and Cigars live stream. We're back in next week on Thursday with another cigar that I don't know what it is actually at the moment, but if you click on the description down below and you scroll down, you'll see what the cigar is next week. There is a pipa from this company it's kind of this cigar-shaped, this pipe-shaped cigar. That's not for a couple more weeks, but I'm actually looking forward to getting to that one. But you'll see what's coming up for next week, and that'll be a good one for you. All right, we'll see you next week as well, Mom. Good to see you guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, hope you have a great week. And yeah, see you next time.